to simply support the rescue and restoration of victims of child trafficking and prostitution.
So much more can be accomplished when people get together.
That's true.
So much more. So that's huge for us tonight.
There's a couple hundred people here, which is amazing because 2 weeks ago we had about 20 to 30 people signed up. And everyone last minute showed up, signed up, just to support the cause of how can we reach more people, rescue more of these girls that are being trafficked all around the world, and come up with more of an actual system and a plan rather than just kind of let's just go after them. But now getting some people that have actually done it and supporting their ministries and figuring out how we can just further the cause.
For us, what we focus on is the sex trafficking aspect of human trafficking, and so I think that has gone on for many years, but it's just now in the last 5 to 6 years where it's really becoming a movement where people are starting to say we need to do something about it.
Anywhere from 20,000 to 300,000 U.S. girls being trafficked in the United States. Many of the girls that we have were actually threatened or coerced or physically just taken right off the street.
It kind of shocked me that even as a cop I wasn't aware that this slavery stuff was going on in the United States. We rescued 11 girls that were being shipped to Turkey. They thought they were being models, and they were part of a false modeling agency. And we caught them right before they were getting on that plane to go to, basically, to Turkey. They've been sold.
2 of our girls in there were 6 and 8, and they were sisters, and their mom sold them for $350.
These kids, what they're done is their parents sell them to an agent. The agent then sells them to the business owner, and the business owner then exploits them for the remainder of their lives. One of the women I talked to had been there for 30 years and not left the property.
Many of these girls have cognitive issues due to the damage and the trauma that they've experienced. I mean, being raped every single day for 14 hours a day is going to do something to you.
And she just looked down, and I said, "Do you pray?" She said, "Yeah, I prayed." I said, "What do you ask God for?" "I asked God to get me out of here." "Okay, but he never will." "Well, why is that?" And she says, "Because I'm a prostitute." And I'm like, oh, you're not a prostitute. That's what you're forced to do. That's not what you are. And there's street after street after street after street of girls just in these shanties that are made out of corrugated tin, and they're rusty, and there's holes in them, and the place smells. There's no sewer system, so there's open sewage everywhere. There's no running water to flush it down. I mean, it stinks. And here are these girls, one after the other. These rooms are like 6 feet by maybe 8 feet. I mean, most of us have bigger closets than what these girls are forced to live in.
A lot of the girls get pregnant, obviously, and have babies, and these babies are living in this red light district, and they're living there under the bed when their mothers are working. And so not only when you're rescuing this girl are you rescuing the girl, but you're rescuing the next generation, this little baby.
I tried to picture what would I do if it were one of my girls. That's a terrible thought for a dad. If that happened to any one of my daughters, and I just started picturing them one at a time. What if it was her? What if it was Rachel? What if it was Mercy? What if it was Ellen? You know, I just started picturing their faces, and they're somewhere in the world. Would I just kind of get up to my pulpit and open the Bible and say, hey, let's look at Luke 4 this week, and, you know, and sing a few songs? There's no way. And I told the church, I go, what I would do is I'd probably get up here and start swearing at you, throwing things, whatever, to get your attention, and say, someone get my daughter. Someone figure it out. You guys are businessmen. You guys know, you guys have minds. You got connections. We got to find her. She's somewhere in the world, and we got to figure out where she is, and we got to get her.
The #1 killer of these girls, suicide. We had a call a couple weeks ago, well, it was actually a couple months ago, and a social worker said, you know, I wish I'd known about you a couple weeks ago. And I said, why? We'll still take her. And she said it was too late. She was not going back to the life. And so she took her own. I missed her by 2 weeks. It will encourage you that there is hope, that there's a way to help these type of victims. We are attempting to give back some of their childhood that was stolen from them.
Happens with these girls. When you help with these girls, other things happen and other girls get touched. And this red light district that we work in, I mean, there are tens of thousands of girls that are stuck there. and they have no way out. There's no hope for them. So what we did was we bought a bar and a brothel, and we turned it into a church and a vocational training center.
We went to India, and he's out there with his family rescuing children who are being sold by their parents into slavery. And they're sold by their parents. Their parents are from the untouchable villages. They're the deletes. They're the lowest in the caste system, so they're basically less than animals. And so nobody will help them. Praveen's tried to go to law enforcement. He went to the UN. He's gone pretty much every route he can take, but all of the local leaders and businessmen see them as nothing. And so there's pretty much nothing, according to the world standards, that can be done. Way to do something, because I don't know how you see that and don't do anything. Praveen, the pastor, approached us with a plan that he'd had that he hadn't divulged to anybody, a plan that had been in the making for about 2 years.
Just looked at the church and said, man, I don't want to go on playing church. I don't see that in the Bible. Having these little services and, clapping because we got more people this week. It's like, man, we got to be going out and doing something. You just go, I'm just going to try something. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start walking around. This is what God told me to do. I'm going to go. I'm just going to try something and see what happens. And then you see what God does. And I know when Pat was up here sharing the story about that gal, so many of you guys were jealous, right? You said, man, that's the kind of life I want to live. Because there isn't one thing in your life that matches up to something like that. And you go, man, that's what I want for my life. Man, see, this thing we're talking about is not, we're not trying to, put this guilt trip on you and go, oh, man, this is terrible. So, you know what, screw up your life and devote it to this. No, we're saying this is a better life. To go out rescuing, I mean, just to know that you did something like that in your lifetime, even for one person. Some of you guys, as you hear this, you're thinking, okay, how can I fit this into my life? Can I squeeze a few dollars into here? Can I squeeze a couple hours? How in the world am I going to fit this astronomical problem into my life? Because I'm already maxed out. I don't have any more time. I don't have any more money. How can I fit this in? How can I squeeze this in? And I'm just saying, man, I don't know that you can. I don't think this is an issue or something that you squeeze into your life. I think it's something you say, man, can I fit anything else into my life other than this? Do I work for anything else? And it's for the joy. I mean, one of the things that I learned, Jesus says, if you try to save your life, you're going to lose it. You're trying to hold on to your life, all the stuff you got, all your possessions, all your comfort. He says you're going to lose it. He goes, but if you lose your life for my sake, then you're going to find it. And man, everyone I know of that is working towards these things, that have given up their old life to pursue something like this, they go, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. God says, man, blessed are you when you mourn and you weep. And you would think by taking these burdens onto yourself, and yes, are there days when it's overwhelming and everything else, but there's this joy. When Jesus says it's more blessed to give than to receive, I never got that. I said, oh, okay, that's cute, Jesus, But then you start doing it, and you go, oh, this is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if you've ever fed like a bowl of rice to a kid that would not have eaten had you not given him that bowl of rice. But it's like, I can't believe what I just did.
We need to pray for the girls. We need to pray for their families. We need to pray for the pimps and the traffickers and the slaveholders, because Christ died for them just as much as he died for me. There's an incident happened in Cambodia where that was really brought home to me. We had a home there, and two of our girls in there were 6 and 8, and they were sisters, and their mom sold them for $350. Well, while I was there, word got to us that the mother was back in Phnom Penh, and so we arranged a meeting to meet the grandmother of these two girls and the mother. And she sat down and she lit up a cigarette, and I'm sitting there looking at her, and I'm thinking, how evil, and I'm having these terrible thoughts. Here I am, a Christian. I'm having these evil thoughts. And I heard the voice of God say to me, look into her heart. What do you see? I said, God, I see nothing but pure blackness. He said, that's exactly what your heart looked like before you got saved. Oh, man. I broke down sobbing. Something came over us. There was 4 of us. There was me, a translator, a grandmother, and a mother. Something happened, because when I started sobbing, they started sobbing. And that mother ended up getting saved that day, people. I mean, we've reached pimps in Haiti. We've had some work in Haiti. We've led 12 of them to the Lord in Haiti. We've led pimps to the Lord in Ethiopia and Addis Ababa in the red light district. They need saving as much as we do. I really want, especially Christians, to understand that, because it's an important element. And if you make an enemy out of any man, you really close off a lot of what God can do.
Man, if God didn't change me, I would be one of those perverts paying for sex. So don't look up here and go, oh, look at him. No, I'm just as foul and sick as any other guy on the earth. I'm sure you girls are too, but it's, you know, we always get the brunt of it all. But I'm serious. I'm a man. I've got a flesh. I've got everything else. I have screwed up so much. Have all those tendencies. And for no other reason than His grace and His mercy, I stand before you as just a changed person. When we were praying beforehand and Pat's telling me all these stories about things going on in Ethiopia, you know, the first thing I just said to God, I go, God, I thank you so much. You gave me a heart that even cares. That's nothing to be proud of, like, look at me, I care. That's the grace of God that you care. I mean, wouldn't you hate to be a person who didn't? I mean, I try, as you talk about this, I try to think about the slave owners. And I think, what misery they must be under, just thinking, this is who I am. I sell little girls. I use them. Like, what a horrible, horrible life. It's the grace of God that changes us.